So something happened in that England game that might have just complicated this whole tonali conversation. Because while everyone's focused on landing Sandro Tonali, Mainoo and Elliot Anderson quietly showed something else. They didn't just play well, they fit. The roles made sense, the balance was there. It actually looked like a midfield that works. And that creates a massive problem for the board. Because if that's what Mainoo needs next to him, do we really need Tonali? That's why in the next few minutes, I'm about to show you the exact profile Michael Carrick needs in the midfield and why Tonali might not be it. Listen, if you're tired of the hype and want actual tactical analysis, join the community by hitting subscribe. We're figuring out the future of this midfield together. Done? Perfect, thank you. So let's start this video with what happened just a few days ago at Wembley, England versus Japan. Because to be honest, United don't need a better midfielder, they need the right midfield. Now, on the surface, a 1-0 loss looks like a failure, but if you stop looking at the scoreboard and start looking at the engine room, you see something remarkable. For 71 minutes, Thomas Tuchel gave us a glimpse of the future, the Mainoo and Elliot Anderson pivot. And it didn't just work, it made tactical sense. While the rest of the England team looked disjointed, the defensive coverage from these two was elite. Elliot Anderson finished the game with 13 ball recoveries, the highest on the pitch. Mainoo added another 9 recoveries of his own. That is 22 times they snatched the ball back and killed a Japanese transition. This is exactly the combatant energy I've been saying United is missing. The beauty of this duo wasn't just the grit, it was the discipline. Anderson acted as the designated anchor, showing a physical profile that allowed Mainoo to breathe. Mainoo, playing with that safety net, completed 83 out of 88 passes, 94% accuracy. When one pushed, the other dropped. When Japan tried to counter through Mitoma or Kamada, there was a coherent structure waiting for them. It wasn't just two talented players on a pitch, it was a system. It looked coherent, not just talented. That midfield made sense. You could see the Carrick ball influence, the patience, the zonal coverage, and the quick recycling of play. But why does the Japan evidence matter so much? Because at Manchester United, everything revolves around Mainoo. If Michael Carrick gets the job permanently, Kobe is the sun that every other player must orbit around. But to build that system, we have to be honest about what Kobe actually is. He's a press-resistant phenom. He's a tactical genius who can receive the ball in a phone booth and come out the other side with a smile. He's a tempo setter, the guy who decides when we go and when we stay. But here is the inconvenient truth for the Tonali hype train. Mainoo is not a ball winner, and he's definitely not a lone six. Across this season, we've seen the same pattern. When Mainoo is asked to do the dirty work, to chase down counters and tackle at high volume, his passing accuracy drops and his influence on the game fades. And this is where the Tonali deal starts to look like a massive mistake. If you look at current data, Sandro Tonali thrives when he's the one carrying the ball. He thrives when he's the one ghosting into the box. He has a one-on-one index almost identical to Mainoo's because they are essentially fighting for the same blade of grass. Mainoo needs protection, not competition. And Tonali, to be honest, is a competition. So, if Tonali is the wrong answer, what is the right one? Because while we've been looking for a Galactico to replace Casemiro, the perfect solution has been hiding in plain sight at Nottingham Forest. Now I know what you're thinking. Anderson over Tonali? Are you serious? Yes, and here's the tactical data that proves it. This season, Anderson has quietly become the most reliable midfielder in the country. He's registered 258 successful tackles this season. Compare that to Tonali's 117. He ranks second in the entire Premier League for passing accuracy at 88%, but here's the kicker. He does it while being in the top 10% for ball recoveries. He isn't just a destroyer who kicks people, he's a high-volume, high-intelligence anchor. This is the core insight. Mainoo needs a partner who does the things he shouldn't have to do. Anderson covers an average of 12 kilometers per match. He's the legs that Mainoo sometimes lacks in transition. In that Japan game we just talked about, Anderson had 136 touches. He wasn't just defending, he was managing the game so Mainoo could create. By signing Anderson, you're unlocking the 100% version of Mainoo. But here's the twist. I'm not saying we should choose one or the other. In fact, if Manchester United is serious about the Carrick era, we must sign both. Think about it. If we only sign Anderson, we've successfully replaced Casemiro, we've found the janitor, we've stabilized the mid-block, but we haven't actually progressed, we've just stayed still. And staying still is a death sentence when you look at next season's calendar. With us sitting third in the table, Champions League football is coming back to Old Trafford. That means 2 games a week against the elite of Europe. You cannot expect a 21-year-old Kobbie Mainoo to start 55 games a season without his legs giving out. We've already seen the toll it's taken on Bruno Fernandes. This season, Bruno has played over 2,400 minutes already. He's world-class, but he's being overworked because there's zero tactical rotation behind him. This is where Tonali changes the game. Obviously, he's not going to be the Casemiro replacement, but he'll offer world-class midfield insurance. Tonali has shown at Newcastle and for Italy that he can play higher up. He has that ice-cold vision and a clinical strike. He can give Bruno a rest without the quality of our final ball dropping off a cliff. And when Kobbie needs to be managed, which, let's be honest, he does at this stage of his development, Tonali steps in as the primary controller, allowing us to rotate Mainoo without the midfield losing its technical depth. We don't just need a starter, we need a squad. And by signing Anderson, you lock the back door. With Tonali, you open the front door. One gives you the balance to win the Premier League, the other gives you the depth to win the Champions League. If the board only signs one, they're just plugging a hole. If they sign both, then we can beat almost anyone. But if we can't get Anderson, where do we turn? Because the mission remains the same. United need a lone 6 and another carrier. And one of the names on everyone's lips is Adam Wharton. He plays the game at his own pace, much like Michael Carrick used to, but he doesn't have the same defensive bite as Anderson. Then there's the Carlos Baleba crowd. We've watched him at Brighton all season, and the physical profile is undeniable. When Baleba starts a transition, he's almost impossible to stop. But Baleba's form in early 2026 has been inconsistent. He's been dropped by Brighton a few times recently, and for a club like United chasing a title, role might be too big a gamble right now. And of course, we have to talk about Bruno Guimaraes. Reports are already swirling that if Michael Carrick gets the job permanently, Bruno is his #1 target. There are options, but the lesson from that England-Japan game remains the same. It doesn't matter how talented the individual is, it matters if they can play the lone 6 role.
Now it's time for you to join the conversation. Comment below.
Who is your 6 and who is your attacking midfielder? Tonali, Anderson, Wharton, give me a picks. Is Adam Wharton the more natural Carrick successor, or does Anderson's engine make him the better fit? And look, if this tactical breakdown helped you see the game differently,